other end, Richard Bachman makes his third straight start for the Oilers. Devan Dubnyk close to coming back off an ankle injury. Not quite ready to go. And we are underway in Edmonton as the Wings get control off the opening faceoff. Bertuzzi trying to pick it up off the boards. Can't. Datsuk overskates the puck. As the Oilers try to work it in, Bertuzzi will drop it off. And the Oilers in their own end, the Red Wings in their own end fired at the boards. Bertuzzi can't touch the puck, but they wave off icing anyway. Petrie goes back to it. Feeds it ahead. Eberle out to center, down the left wing, over the line, got as far as that, no more, but following up is Jones. Down low, fed out front, shot goes off a stick over top of the net as Nugent Hopkins able to pull the trigger. Puck stays in play. Wings through the neutral zone. Zetterberg over the line on the right side, turns back to the blue line with a shot towards the goal, deflected off Bertuzzi, and it's covered up by the goaltender as Bachman's able to hang on for a faceoff.
Both teams, Rick, with some pretty good chances. Edmonton, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with a pretty good chance, and then there through a screen, Bachman finding that puck coming towards him. He's getting his third straight start, Rick, because he deserves it, and that's in no way an attack against Devan Dubnyk or Jason LaBarbera, but he's played really well in his 2 games.
Former Dallas Star face-off to his left. Weiss, the former Florida Panther, waved out of the circle. Alfredsson in. Shot from the point doesn't get through. This is Hamilton after it. Rick Ball, Kelly Rudy, Rexall Place, Edmonton. Game just underway, 53 seconds in, and the Red Wings go into the box. The Oilers about to go on the power play, Kelly.
Well, this start to the season hasn't been an easy one for Brendan Smith, highly touted young defenseman right there, but he gets his glove in there on Ryan Hamilton, and he's sent to the box. So the Oilers go on their first power play of the evening.
Power play that has struggled lately, just 1 for 26 over the last 9 games, but a chance to open the scoring here early in this game at Edmonton. Here's Gagne. Second game back off his broken jaw, gets it back to the line. Beloff fed it across, back to Gagne. Pass didn't connect. Now he'll fight for the puck on the boards, taken away by DeKeyser. Will they get it out? Yes, able to chop it past the point, back down to the Edmonton zone. Anton Beloff goes back to it. Hemsky, Yakupov, Jones, and Gagne also out there on the power play. Nice move by Hemsky over the line. Shot from a sharp angle is stopped. Bouncing rebound winds up in the corner. And it's chipped off the boards and down the ice by Cleary. Picked up in the neutral zone. Here's Weiss over the line. Beloff with a nice check as he throws his shoulder into Weiss and knocks him down. Oilers have to regroup. Beloff will skate out from behind his own net. Slowly out to center. He'll gain the blue line. Tries a shot. That's gloved and hung on to. Mrazek makes the save, and Oilers force a face-off with 53 seconds left in the power play.
Oilers get a pretty good chance here. Eberle on the power play is just going to dish it off to Hemsky, and he uses his terrific speed to scare Kyle Quincy. Makes it look as though he's going to go inside. That's when Quincy turns, and then Hemsky gets a sharp angle shot. Mrazek stays up on his feet pretty well in that one.
Face-off win on the PK for the Red Wings, fired down the ice by Kronwall. Second unit out there for the Oilers. Petrie plays it over. Eberle carries it in down the middle. There's Nugent Hopkins, threw it back out front for Eberle. He had a stick lifted by Kronwall. And then Eberle goes head first into the net and knocks it off its pegs, and he's down on all fours, but looks like he's going to be okay.
Pretty good looking play by the Oilers to enter the zone, but this is why Nicholas Kronwall is loved by his coach, Mike Babcock. He doesn't lose his focus. He knows that the puck is coming back to the middle of the ice, and he makes sure that he takes a stick of Eberle right there. Excellent defensive play by Kronwall.
Good at both ends, comes into the game tied for 6th in defensive scoring last season, so he puts points up and makes plays like that as well, and because Eberle took the net off, the faceoff comes outside the zone.
When talking about Datsuk, Zetterberg, Kronwall, and Alfredsson, Babcock called them everydayers. I guess that's a good compliment.
Well, he likes that. He used that phrase to talk about his team, too. He says It's been too up and down this year. It's an every night business, he says. You got to bring it every night. Oilers still in the power play, scoreless early. Arcobello in the corner will feed it back to the line. Petrie mishandled the puck, has to regroup in the neutral zone as the penalty hits the final 10 seconds. Oilers trying to work it back in for one last chance of the man advantage. Won't do it. Puck is cleared, and that'll do it for the penalty as Smith gets set to step out of the box. 2 shots on that power play for Edmonton. As mentioned, it's struggled now. 1 for its last 30 with the man advantage. Yakupov dropped it off. Petrie missed it. Going back to it is Anton Belov, who made a nice play on the PK to break up a chance in front of his own goal, and he'll fire it off the boards out to center ice. Hemsky dumps it in. Gagne on the forecheck, wearing that full shield because of the broken jaw, courtesy of a Zach Kassian stick in preseason play. This is his 2nd game back. As the Red Wings break through center, ever dangerous Datsuk over the line. Out there again with Zetterberg and Bertuzzi as they go to work in the offensive zone. Datsuk battling with Yakupov as the 2 Russians come together. Bertuzzi comes in to help out. Jamming away at the puck in the corner. Played back to the line, not out. A weak shot goes well wide. Kindle activates, can't get to it. Gagne slaps it past him off the boards and out to center ice.
We'll have to see this matchup when the Datsuk line is out there. Dallas Eakins had Ryan Nugent Hopkins and his line mates Eberle and Jones. The first shift against him, second shift he had the Gagne line with Hemsky and Yakupov.
So we'll keep an eye on that. That may have been because it came right after the power play too. So we'll see if that's a change in plans or not as the Red Wings wind up icing the puck. Well, we saw something unusual during warm-up today, Kelly. I don't think I've ever seen this before.
No, I have never seen this either. So typically Mike Babcock, you were telling me that he likes to sit in the bench or stand on the bench. Well, he was right in with all the audience members here. I have never seen anything like it. And hopefully at some point maybe we can find out why. Maybe we can get Scott Oak to ask him.
He's a man of the people. I'd love it when the guy shows up with the ticket where you're in my seat, pal.
They might excuse Canada's coach.
I think so. Oilers go to work. Nice steal there by Nugent Hopkins. Trying to work it out front with a shot. That deflects off traffic. I'm not sure it got through, and Bertuzzi's able to corral the loose puck and clear the zone. Nick Schultz fires it ahead. A little too hot. That's icing on Edmonton. 4.5 minutes gone here in the first period.
So we were talking to Babcock this morning, Rick, about his young goaltender, Peter Mrazek. And young, confident goaltender. He's not just looking to take Jonas Gustafsson's job. He's looking to take Jimmy Howard's job. That's what this kid thinks. So pretty impressive.
You want guys to think that way. You want a Calder Cup last year with Grand Rapids in the AHL. Yep. He was the outstanding goalie at the 2011 World Junior Hockey Championship. So clearly he's got some skill.
Only 21 years old.
Making his first start this season, 3rd in the NHL as Jones works over the line, tries a shot, never got through to Mrazek. Rebounds corralled by Daniel Alfredsson. Plays it ahead, and it's chipped in by Weiss. Ferentz to it in the corner, tied up by Weiss. Now the Oilers get it ahead, and Ryan Jones will have a chance to clear, but can't get it out. Second chance, now he does. Eberle at center ice. Petrie jumps up on the rush over the line, throws the puck on goal, steered away by Mrazek, right to Alfredsson. His pass hops over a stick, and then another one, and here goes Helm back in the lineup. Helm with a chance, scores! Welcome back, Darren Helm. It's 1-0 Detroit.
Darren Helm certainly showing that blazing speed that everybody recognizes he has. Alfredsson gets a bit of a lucky break. He throws it through the middle, and 2 Edmonton Oilers miss it, including Jeff Petrie. And Helm just burns by everybody, then goes 5-hole on Bachman. Bachman is pretty deep in his net right there. I think he's afraid of the lateral movement of Darren Helm right there.
What a return for Helm. Just 1 game for Darren Helm because of a multitude of injuries over the last 18 months. 1 game played. He finally gets back in the lineup tonight, and he scores a goal 5 minutes and 9 seconds into the hockey game. It's got to feel pretty good.
Player that Babcock said, when healthy, he thinks he's the best third-line center in the game.
And the plan was to get him back in tonight anyway, but Johan Franzen came back last night in Calgary, and he only lasted 9 minutes, so it made that decision simpler. Here's a chance again. Kick, save, rebound, they score! And just like that, it is 2-0 Red Wings. And that's Tatar, who now has goals in 3 straight games, Kelly.
One of the top young prospects in the Detroit organization finishes this off. Good play right here. Just throw it at the net and hope for a rebound right there. That is, as much as it's such a shot, it's a pass by Anderson. and he's hopeful that the rebound's going to come out front, which it does, and Tatar goes right to the front of net where he's supposed to go. Nobody takes him coming in. Abdelkader off to the left of Backman for traffic, and Backman trying not to put the puck out to the left. Wow, what a start for Detroit.
And a bad start for the Oilers. They get an early power play, can't do anything with it, and just like that, 2 goals 27 seconds apart, and the Wings are up 2-0 as we approach the 6-minute mark here in the first period.
Edmonton's just now going to have to focus again and not lose what they do well at times, and that's control the puck. But right now, this is not the start they needed. And Dallas Eakins is going to have to rally his guys and make sure they start to do the little things again.
Been a frustrating year for the rookie head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. And one of the issues he has is a penalty's coming up now too. Miller got hooked. I think Belov is going to go to the box. So just like that, you're down 2-0. And now you're going to have to kill off a penalty against the potent Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, one of the guys in the Edmonton Oilers blue line that handles the puck pretty well, Belov, and he gets a little bit nervous here with the pressure. Puck's bouncing a little bit, and then he just sticks his stick in the hands of Drew Miller, and now the Oilers have to defend the power play of this really confident unit from the Detroit Red Wings.
Red Wings power play 17th in the league, 18.6%. Edmonton's penalty kill is 26th, just 76% killing off penalties. But they need one here to maybe swing some momentum back their way. Trailing 2-0. Bertuzzi out there has to retreat with the puck. Now he finds Kronwall. Dump in didn't work. Stolen by Eberle, and he'll chip it back the other way on the PK and then head to the bench and a change. Gagne on the forecheck. Puck comes to Kronwall. Now Zetterberg. Out to center. Nice pass to Datsuk over the line of Bertuzzi. Zetterberg in the slot. Fan, as he double clutched, he wound up fanning on the shot. Then he tried to chip it towards the goal. It goes off a stick and out of play.
Boy, I'll tell you, when you see that guy and Datsuk coming across the blue line, that makes every defenseman in the game have to back up, and that's not what you want to do. And then just with the different layers, Zetterberg comes right through the middle. Just gets a shot blocked right there, but that's a dangerous play to give up.
Power play continues. Michael Samuelson's out there. Kindle as well from the point. Plays the puck to the half wall. Now gets it back. He'll try a shot, kicked aside. Bachman got the left leg down, and the loose puck's corralled by Jones and cleared out to center ice. Samuelson is back in the lineup tonight. Been a scratched 9 of the last 10 games. Will set up at the right point with the puck. Weiss back to Samuelson. Missed him with the bank pass. It goes all the way down the ice. Good break for the Oilers, and they'll change all 4 of their penalty killers. Past the midway mark of this Detroit power play. Kindle. Now Samuelson will chip it in. Tatar's out there. He has one of the goals tonight. We'll head to the front of the net as Samuelson gets the puck at the point with a shot. Glove saved by Bachman, and he's able to hang on with 34 seconds left in the penalty.
Well, we talked about Thomas Tatar, one of the top prospects, 22 years old. Lights it up in the minors, and that's what you have to do with the Detroit Red Wings to get a chance to come on up. And they feel pretty confident that with his line mates Anderson and Abdelkader that he's going to get some chances. See, 20 goals plus 3 straight years in the American Hockey League. That's what Detroit does. They teach you the proper way.
And in that Calder Cup run last season with Grand Rapids, 21 points in 24 playoff games for Tatar, and he's got goals in 3 straight here this season with the Wings. Late in their power play, Datsuk tried to feather a pass back to the point. Now he gets it back. Here's Kronwall. Fakes the shot, hits Zetterberg in the corner. Datsuk goes out front. Bertuzzi's already there. Zetterberg cross ice one-timer, and I'm not sure if Bachman got a piece of that or hit Bertuzzi in the back of the leg. Either way, it stays out as the penalty comes to an end. The Oilers have killed it off. And now we'll see if they can turn things back the other way, trailing by 2 with 8 minutes gone here in the first. 1 shot on goal in that Detroit power play. Puck thrown to the front of the goal, bounces back to the left side. Jones with a shot. That whistle's just Bachman, who's down on his knees. It comes back to the point. Here's Quincy. Gets the return pass, works it across the line. Tatar trying to get away from the check of Nugent Hopkins, can't, but now he feeds it back to Quincy with a screen shot deflected. Bachman makes the save, and the rebound played to the corner by Belov. Wings pressuring for the 3rd goal this first period. And they get a chance again. Here's Miller with a shot. That's deflected wide by Larson. All Detroit right now. Puck played behind the net, a little too hot to handle for Anderson. Now he gets it back on the right side. Works it to the line. Smith is there. Now to Drew Miller behind the net. Smith jumps up on the play from the point. Plays a pass out front, just off the bench. Puck bounces as Samuelsson couldn't get it, and it rolls right to Bachman, who hangs on and settles things down as the Wings lead 2-0 in Edmonton.
Through the first period, it's the Wings by 2, and what an odyssey it's been for Darren Helm to get back into the lineup for the first time in 281 days. First a back problem, most recently a groin issue. There have been several false starts. He was supposed to return last weekend, but tweaked his groin, although there was no sign of trouble for sure. That world-class speed he used to score the first goal tonight. Timely return by Helm, as there are a few players as tenacious as him. Mike Babcock talks about the need to play Detroit Red Wings hockey, and Helm knows how to do it. Rick.
And setting the tone. Thank you, Scott. Great first period for Detroit, up 2-0 midway through the opening frame, and they go back to work in the offensive zone. Work the cycle down low. Weiss gets it back to the line. Quincy tries a shot. Bachman down, makes the save, and hangs on.
I like the way that Bachman has battled back and looked pretty calm now. Rick, you know, those two early goals could have really flustered the youngster in net, and his long shot from Quincy sees it all the way, but looks really calm, and he's got to try and maintain that composure.
Third straight start for Bachman. Puck behind the net. Ferentz goes to it. Up the boards and past Kindle out to center ice. Datsuk will drop it off into his own zone. Shots are 7-3 Detroit. Datsuk stumbles in behind the net, gets back to his feet. Pass through center, misses Bertuzzi. This will be icing on the Red Wings. As Nick Schultz goes back to touch the puck.
Well, even the best players fall from time to time, Rick, and it's not very often when you see Pavel Datsuk going behind his own net. Derek Smith with the puck, and I think Datsuk actually trips on the stick of Smith, or it's Kindle right here. Oh, he trips over the net.
Yeah.
And the nets are 4 inches smaller than they were last year. What would have happened last year?
Well, he's got to recalibrate. He thought they were narrower than they even are right now. Long shot from the point. That's knocked down with the glove of Mrazek. Can't hang on to the rebound, but Kindle comes in to help out. Wings with the puck. Zetterberg clears. Bertuzzi races up to take off the icing call. Funny, I said out of force of habit that Nick Schultz went back and touched the puck for the icing on that last one. He doesn't have to do that anymore on the hybrid rule. Here's Datsuk. So nifty. He leads the league in takeaways. And maybe a sneakier and better player with a stick at getting the puck away from guys than Pavel Datsuk.
Well, and he's just so strong on his feet. So if you're unprepared, he's going to steal that puck from you every time.
On the bench right now is the Wings set up behind their own net. Danny DeKeyser with a hard up off the right side. Tipped in by Applicator. No, he didn't get a piece of it. They're going to blow that down on icing as well. Well, take your game to the next level with Hockey Night Second Screen. Interact and compete for cash prizes. Be a part of our broadcast. You can engage with us by going to cbcsports.ca/second screen. Past the 11-minute mark here in the first. Gagne facing off against Anderson. It's a stalemate. The Wings wind up with the puck, and Tatar able to bring it out. He'll flip it in high. Nice backspin on that. Like a punter trying to drop it inside the 5-yard line with that play, and it worked well. Now they'll try and get it back, but Gagne able to steal the pass.
This Anderson line has been dangerous every single shift so far.
Absolutely. Sam Gagne dumps the puck in. He's alone on the forecheck. Now Yakupov joins him and gets up to the puck in the corner. Nail Yakupov back to Schmid at the point with a shot through traffic. Mrazek down, makes the save, and Tatar able to corral the rebound. Gagne in the corner fighting for the puck. It's knocked off his stick. He pokes it to the side of the goal. Hemsky trying to get it, but it's taken away, and Abdelkader will skate towards his own blue line. Works it out to center ice for the Red Wings and then dumps the puck in. Past Schmid, no icing on the play. Both teams start a change. Ladislav Schmid in behind his own goal. Will feed it on the right side. Petrie back to Schmid. Back to Petrie. His pass tipped in by Ben Eager. Fourth line shift out there for the Oilers now. Try and create some energy to get things going in terms of momentum, but Drew Miller there to clear the zone. Schmid back to it. Pressured by Samuelsson, so he circles the net. Shakes him off and works the puck out, then flips it over the glass and out of play. 7.5 minutes to go here in the first period. Detroit with goals 27 seconds apart.
It's Sam Gagner in our Subway Restaurants bio. In his second game back after the broken jaw he suffered 7 weeks ago tonight on Zach Kassian's high stick. This picture we tweeted a few days later is intriguing because that's not all swelling. That's how far the jaw was actually pushed over. So there's a plate and 6 screws that are now permanent parts of his anatomy. The full face shield he'll have to wear until the Olympic break. Gagner says his current look, highlighted by 4 missing teeth, got him out of his engagement pictures with his fiancée Rachel. So those pictures will have to wait until there's some dental work done. Rick.
Thanks, Scott.
Luckily, I played goal.
Yeah, had a mask on.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that looked awful.
Yep.
Kassian, of course, was suspended for that hit. Even though it appeared to be accidental, you got to take good care of your own stick. And Kassian of the Vancouver Canucks with a big win over the Maple Leafs tonight. Here's Schmid over the line with a long shot. That goes wide. It's been a great start for the Wings and not so much so for the Oilers. They'll try and generate something here. Puck comes free, and Weiss will bring it out to center ice. Ahead to Alfredsson. Stops just inside the line, throws it towards the goal, and it's hung on to by Bachman, who's able to force a face-off. Well, watch the remaining pairs skates. 2 programs inspired by the Winter Olympics on an all-new Battle of the Blades. That's tomorrow at 8 on CBC TV. You know, Kelly, we talked to Dallas Aikens today, and he was talking about that loss to the Maple Leafs last game, 4-0, and how well his team played in the third period. The game was over, but they really didn't. They wanted to break the shutout, the energy they brought. And he said, I've told my team we've got to start games with that same level of energy.
And unfortunately, they haven't. They're not moving very well, and they're making this very easy for Detroit so far.
Here's Cronwall with a shot deflected in front. Bachman's down, able to scoop up a bouncing puck for a face-off again, with Todd Bertuzzi standing in front of the net.
You know, Detroit, they just support themselves so well on the ice. And here's a good example of it. Datsuk always in great position. Give and go right there. They get a good chance right there. But you look at Datsuk, he likes to put himself about 5 or 6 feet away, and then just that quick return pass, and that's why Detroit's so effective.
Nugent Hopkins beats Datsuk on the face-off. Eberle to the puck. Up the boards, but Datsuk steals. Back to the line. DeKeyser with a one-timer. Put it just wide, looking short side. Missed the net. Oilers try and clear. Will they get it out? No. Cronwall able to keep it onside. And Bachman is down, and he looks like he's injured, Kelly, as the Oilers goaltender, Richard Bachman, is still face down in the goal crease.
The long shot from DeKeyser to the left of Bachman was going well wide, and when he extended his leg, it looked like he was in trouble immediately. Jason LaBarbera, the bench, he's already on the ice. Now he's stretching. So here's that long shot right there. You could tell, immediately you could tell something's wrong.
Seemed to be favoring that left leg. It didn't look to be that extreme, but clearly something went awry with Bachman on that play. So making his 3rd straight start. As we mentioned, Devan Dubnyk was told, he thought he might start tonight, was told by Dallas Aikens, we're going to give you one more night off. He was quite disappointed, actually.
Definitely.
But he's ready to come back for the next game. Not that you ever want to see a teammate in distress. As LaBarbera, you mentioned, gets ready to step between the pipes for the Oilers, and Bachman able to slowly skate his way towards the bench.
Well, this was never easy for the guy sitting on the bench for 14 minutes. Maybe had a bit of an idea that he might possibly go in after 2 quick goals by Detroit, but take a look again if you can see anything. Shot is deflected, actually, I think off Brian Jones' stick, which had no effect whatsoever on the movement of Bachman, but we'll see if he comes back and sits on the bench in the second period. It doesn't seem likely.
Right to the room. So Jason LaBarbera, the Prince George native, between the pipes for the Oilers now in a relief role. Red Wings with a 2-0 lead, win the faceoff. Here's Tatar. Battling down low with Larson. He gets in the lineup because of the injury to Schultz. They battle along the near boards. Chip back to the line. Kindle, good job to keep it onside. Abdelkader with Tatar on front, gets the pass through. Anderson shot deflected off a stick into the corner. But the Wings just keep the pressure on as the Oilers have trouble getting it out. Now Yakupov able to tip it to center, gets his own clear out and flips it in. Gagne up after it, throws it out front. Knocked back to the line, Belov's there. Plays the puck down low to Yakupov. Behind the net to Gagne. Gagne on the near boards, took a bump there from Smith. Puck flipped back towards the blue line. Yakupov over to it first. Backhand pass down low to Hemsky. He'll play it to the near side. Belov will activate. Chips the puck towards the goal. A bouncer's kick back to the boards. And cleared out over the blue line. Right back come the Oilers. There's Gagne with a slap shot. That's blocked by Smith. Gets the second shot away, and that's stopped by Mrazek, and the rebound picked up by the Red Wings. And here they come. Darren Helm down the left wing. Has Samuelsson with him. Helm drops it up to Quincy with a shot. Glove saved by LaBarbera. His first stop. Pretty nice one as he hangs on for a whistle. Inside 5 minutes to go in the first period. Red Wings 2. And the Oilers no score on Hockey Night in Canada.
Rick and Kelly mentioned earlier that Mike Babcock's a man of the people in the stands during warm-up, and Dallas Eakins turned a few heads this morning when he was on the ice for the Oilers game day skate. Told us at the start of the season he had no plans to ever be on the ice game day because game day skates, he thinks, are about checking equipment and getting a feel, not about teaching. But he did some this morning because he cut yesterday's practice short by 15 minutes, fearing fatigue and information overload. But Eakins says still he has no plans to start running practices on game day, Rick.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, the other thing about that skate this morning that was interesting, Kelly, is they skated in their line combinations for almost the entire morning skate as Zetterberg gets a shot away off the draw and LaBarbera makes a save. You don't see that very often. They up and down the ice.
Yep.
Defensive pairings, line combinations together, pretty much the full skate this morning.
Well, for yesterday's practice, he had a full agenda, and like Scott said, he thought fatigue was setting in and he wanted to finish off that agenda, and that happened to be this morning.
Another face-off win for Detroit. There's a shot by DeKeyser that's blocked. And the puck is cleared out to center ice. Danny DeKeyser, what a signing by the Red Wings. He looks like he's going to be a good one for a long time now. A shot off the wing is blocked away by LaBarbera. Bertuzzi goes for the rebound. Nugent Hopkins watching him along the boards. Datsuk there as well. Puck goes to the corner. Andrew Ferentz able to pick it up. Skates it behind his net. Had his pocket picked by Datsuk. Another steal by the league leader in that cut category. And that forces a penalty as Datsuk's taken down. And I thought it was Ferentz, but it looks like,
yes,
yeah, it is. Andrew Ferentz going to the penalty box, Kelly.
Like I said, Datsuk is so strong on his feet, and you've got to find a way to use the leverage of your body to knock him off the puck. In this case, Ferentz is trying to do that, but his stick gets in around the knees, and that's at that point where Datsuk falls down after losing his balance.
Second power play of the night for the Wings. They're 0 for 1 as the Oilers won the draw and fired the puck down the ice. You know, the other thing about it is such good eye-hand coordination with the stick. You know, the other guys who are really good at that are the Sedins. They don't overpower you in puck battles, but they're just so good with their stick and fishing the puck out of feet and
no question about it,
coming away with it.
And frankly, when guys like Datsuk and Zetterberg lose the puck, they want it back, or worse than anybody else. They try harder to get it back.
Tatar tried to feather a pass to Samuelsson and goes offside. They've added a second assist on the Helm goal. Now Helm from Alfredson and Cleary, who gets the second helper on that one. Helm and Tatar, the goal scorers in this game. They scored 27 seconds apart at the 5:09 and 5:36 marks of the first period.
Tatar, sure, you can tell that he was taught properly. His development was at the right pace in Grand Rapids, because this is a kid that we talked about his talent, but boy, does he ever work hard on his shifts.
Wings dump it in. Oilers clear it out. Schmid got a break. Samuelsson was at the point ready to knock that down, but it took a nice Oiler bounce off one of the stanchions all the way down the ice. Kindle. Now Zetterberg. Over the line. Right down the middle. Out front with a backhand. Put it wide. Kindle will keep it in. Zetterberg. Skates it back to the line himself. Flip pass over to Michael Samuelsson. Works it down the boards. Back to Zetterberg. Right point. With room. Shot. Traffic. And that's gloved by LaBarbera. And he's able to hang on. And he has looked good since coming in relief for the injured Richard Bachman, Kelly.
Very good. That was a long shot, but you can take a look at the two saves that he made when he first entered the game. There's that great shot from Quincy. LaBarbera made it look easy. And a chance right from Zetterberg in the slot. And LaBarbera in good position there. You know, it's always nerve-wracking because you actually don't know how well you're going to play when you're thrown in there. You're hopeful, of course, that you're going to have your game, but you never know.
Here's Arcobello shorthanded, working it over the line, then retreats to center ice, flips a pass along the line. That's picked off, but he gets it back and dumps it in. 40 seconds left in the power play. Cronwall goes to it. 3 minutes to go in the period. Shots are 12-6 Wings. Here comes Datsuk. Now Alfredsson down the right side. He'll set it up, back to the line. Kronwall slash shot, put it just wide. Big bounce off the end boards. Puck played back behind that before Bertuzzi could get to it. Datsuk gets control. Alfredsson, Datsuk. Bertuzzi's lost his stick, has to go to the bench for a new one. Datsuk wanted to play a pass to him, couldn't. Now the puck's taken away and fired down the ice by Eberle. And that should pretty much do it for this Detroit power play. Maybe one last rush with the man advantage, but Kronwall takes his time. Just the one shot on goal for the Wings with the man advantage. Andrew Ference steps out of the box. Schmid goes to the puck behind his own net, takes a bump from Tatar, plays it to the near side. Anderson's all tied up, and Nugent Hopkins will try and break out. Feeds a pass to Ryan Jones. Carries in on the left side, working on DeKeyser, rides him into the corner. Puck in skates. Abdelkader's there. Nugent Hopkins comes over to get it. On the backhand, puts it back to the forehand behind the net. Jones trying to work it out front. Forced to the near boards and had it taken away by Tatar, who's able to clear the zone.
Excellent defensive play. Known for his offensive abilities. What a smart play in his own zone.
Yakupov, Nugent Hopkins dumps it in. Hamilton to it now on the left side. Drops it off. Yakupov out front trying to get to the slot, but four Red Wings standing there, knock the puck away and out to the neutral zone. Beloff will feed it right back in. Tipped in by Hamilton, not deep. Smith's there for the Red Wings, who throws it up to Darren Helm. The scoring on a breakaway in the first period. Helm dumps it in. As we approach the final minute of the opening frame, Larson back to it in his own zone. Will chip it up the near boards, and it's cleared out to center ice. Michael Samuelsson tried to get one through. That pass was deflected. He gets it back at his own blue line, and the Wings regroup in their own end. Here's Samuelsson. Drops it off. Lashoff will play it ahead. White brings it out. Looks for the return pass. Carries in on the left side. Alfredsson's out front. Weiss turns in the corner. Put it behind the net. Alfredsson couldn't reach the pass. Puck comes to the right side to Cleary. Couldn't get it back. Hemsky took it away, and Eberle breaks back the other way. Gordon and Hemsky with him. Eberle over the line. Turns on the right wing boards. Throws the shot towards the goal. That goes off the glove of Mrazek behind the net. A bouncer corralled by Kronwall, and he'll put it off the glass and out to center ice. Nick Schultz gets it ahead to Boyd Gordon. Now to Eberle. Dipsy doodling on the backhand with a shot. Put it high, and the puck goes out of play with 17.7 seconds left in the period.
We saw two really good defensive plays. The first one by the Edmonton Oilers. Now the puck goes wide right here. The dangerous play is the backside, and that's Nick Schultz recognizing that Todd Bertuzzi could be lurking there. Good play, and then we talked about the Tatar. Good play in his own zone, knocking it off a real sturdy player, Ryan Jones, off the puck.
Datsuk against Nugent Hopkins on the faceoff. It's a stalemate. Puck sits on the dot for a second. Now Bertuzzi comes in to help out, and 228-pound Todd Bertuzzi able to outmuscle Nugent Hopkins and clear the zone. And that should do it for the first period. As time ticks down, Ference sits in behind his own net. Horn sounds. Great first for the Wings. Oilers have to regroup.
They have to come out. You know, they have to start being urgent at the first drop of the puck.
So the Wings score two, 27 seconds apart. Helm and Tatar make it 2-0 Detroit. Ron McLean, Don Cherry next on Hockey Night in Canada.
Let's update you on the whereabouts of goaltenders. We'll start with Richard Bachman, who'll remain in the Oiler room after his first period injury. Devin Dubnyk stressed as the backup now. And Jimmy Howard is sitting in the Zamboni area tonight because he says it's safer here than at the end of the visitors' bench. Had a good view of Peter Mrazek's work in the first period, and he was perfect, Rick.
Well, Jimmy Howard's right. It is not very safe on their Wings bench. That puck just sailed in over Drew Miller's head. He had to dive out of the way. Right off the faceoff to start the second period.
Well, he doesn't have to wear his mask now where he's sitting watching the game.
Not a good start for the Oilers, Kelly, and that is something they got to turn around here. And Dallas Eakins talking about being better in the first period, so that didn't happen. You got to pick it up in the second. Game far from over.
They have nothing to lose now. Yep. What are you afraid of? Go out and play now. You're down 2-0.
Nick Schultz goes back to the puck in his own zone. Zetterberg on his tail. Schultz will circle the net and play it up the left side. Ryan Jones there, out to Eberle at center. Over the line, stops, feeds it to the slot, bounces off the stick of Nugent Hopkins. He goes to it in the corner. Now Eberle off the boards back to Schultz, but he had to come out the center ice to take the pass, and Oilers have to regroup in the neutral zone. They cough it up to Datsuk. Another takeaway by Pavel Datsuk, who chips and chases. Schultz hard around, will clear the zone, but this will go down the ice for icing. As the whistle blows, 47 seconds gone in the second period.
No better teacher than Nick Lidstrom, and for Kronwall, he had years to follow him and learn from him. That is just a perfect gap control right there. Perfect positioning of his stick, and on that play, Eberle just felt, even with his unique skill set, that there's no reason to challenge that.
Weiss, Nugent Hopkins on the draw. The Oilers get the puck up the boards to the blue line, not out, kept on side. There's Alfredsson battling for it. Puck tied up along the boards. Now it squirts back to the line. Smith just kept it onside. The Detroit defenseman chips it behind the net. Richard Bachman, injured groin is the update, will not be back. And as Scott mentioned, Devan Dubnyk, who is close to returning off his ankle injury, thought he might be able to play tonight, has dressed as the backup to LaBarbera.
I think Dubnyk felt that he was going to play today, so I know that Dallas Aiken said that he was disappointed he wasn't, but that he is going to definitely play in this 4-game road trip coming up.
Now Quincy took a bump on the end boards. Oilers steal the puck back. They'll try and go to work in the offensive zone. It's played behind the net. Taken away there by Brendan Smith, and Detroit back the other way. Thomas Tatar, goals in 3 straight games, including tonight. Dumps the puck in behind the Edmonton net. Petrie there. Brought it to the corner. Abdelkader trying to work it free, but it comes up the boards. Tatar able to keep it onside. Abdelkader racing over to it. Petrie beats him there and clears the zone out to center ice. Lash off at his own line at Kindle. Lost the puck. Here's Arcabello back the other way with a strong goal up high, and Mrazek, he's able to make the save and hang on to it for a faceoff. As we throw things back to Scotto.
Rick, just to finish the story on Peter Mrazek, he was with Grand Rapids in Cleveland on Thursday night when he got the word he's being called up, but he didn't have his passport with him, so his girlfriend drove 6 hours from Grand Rapids to deliver it. In the morning, he flew from Cleveland to Chicago to Calgary, was on the ice for the morning skate. Tonight, he has returned to the scene of his 2012 World Junior Heroics when he led the Czech Republic to the quarterfinals and was named the tournament's best goaltender, but this evening has not had a lot of work, facing 7 shots to this point.
In fact, Scott, I got a text from Craig Button saying the same thing about his great work in the World Juniors, and that he is probably the reason why the Czech Republic went to the medal round in 2012.
So a level of comfort in this building, and like Scott said, he hasn't been tested much tonight, but he's been perfect when he has. Puck goes out of play in the Edmonton zone. Of course, he's in tonight. Jimmy Howard's not going to play back-to-back games, and Jonas Gustafsson is nursing a sore neck that he hurt in warm-up in Vancouver the other night.
And he carried him earlier in the season, in fact, being NHL Player of the Week. Gustafsson was, so Ken Holland does a wonderful job here for years. Former Medicine Hat Tiger, I might add, along with Darren Helm, Rick.
I knew that wasn't going to go by unspoken. Oh, Darren Helm too. Yeah, you're right. There you go. Well, you'll see each other at the convention this year. Here comes Eberle over the line with a drop pass to the front of the goal for Jones. That was broken up by Datsuk. Nugent Hopkins goes to the puck, pops in the air. He winds up getting it back, plays it down low. The Kaiser able to take it away, can't get it out. Off a leg. Cromwell will try the other side, puts it off the boards to the neutral zone. Bertuzzi's there. And he'll skate the puck to center. Tom Bertuzzi has more goals in his career against Edmonton than any other team.
Played a lot of times against him when he was a star for the Vancouver Canucks with Marcus Naslund and Brendan Morrison.
20 career goals against the Oilers. Quincy back to the puck. Brendan Smith up the boards to Bertuzzi, who chips it out. Petrie, lead pass. Got as far as the line, no further. Hamilton trying to work it free, but taken away by Cleary. Brendan Smith. Stephen Weiss over the line. Cleary, long shot, steered away by LaBarbera. Alfredsson fanned on his shot off the boards. Back to the line. Lashoff played it to the other point, but Smith had gone to the bench, and the Oilers able to break back the other way as the puck is chipped in by Ryan Hamilton. Wings control. Alfredsson finds Lashoff up the left wing to Weiss near the end of his shift. He'll dump it in. Cleary trying to chase up to it. Can't. Alfredsson will. Throws a shot towards the goal. That bounces off traffic wide. And the puck is controlled and skated out the center ice by Gagne with a lead pass up the left wing. Gagne over the line, but he stepped in early, and the Oilers go offside as Yakupov made one too many moves before he gained the zone.
We saw something rare in this second period. Rick Pavel Datsyuk with a giveaway. So here he is right here. But this goes back to what I did say then after. When he gives up the puck, he wants it back. And he tries harder at getting the puck back than everybody else in the game. And that's why he's such a terrific player.
That's what, 4-1 now? Giveaway, takeaway, giveaway for him? He's a master at that.
Isn't he?
But you're right, so much of it, you're going to make mistakes. It's how you react. And
yep.
A lot of times it's all about getting on your horse as the Red Wings ice the puck. Shots are 13-7 Detroit. They're up 2-0.
It's time for the Crown Royal Icebreaker. Why not try Crown Royal Maple on the Rocks? Crown Royal, the official whiskey partner of the NHL.
The Oilers are playing a safe second period, but they're not generating anything, and going to have to find a way to get pucks to the net and show that same enthusiasm they had third period versus Toronto.
Yeah, they've been a lot more sound in their own end of the rink, but you're right, you're down 2-0. You got to produce some offense.
7 shots, only 2 chances, really.
Puck cleared out, hit the linesman at center ice. Oilers regroup at their own line. Bell off to Larson. Dumps it in wide of the goal. Kindle first man to it. He'll just play it off the glass to Abdelkader, who runs into Beloff, and the Oilers get it right back again. Something. The Oilers need something to generate some momentum. That's not it. Yakupov gave it away. Here's Tatar back over the line, dropped it off at the point. Quincy just off the bench, tries a shot that didn't get through. Nail Yakupov gets it back and then plays it out to center ice. Off the leg of Gagne. Fired right back in by Helm. Shot off the wing by Samuelsson, goes off Larson's stick and out of play. Well, LaBarbera in tonight, his first game since a few games ago last week when he played in Phoenix, Kelly, and that was an interesting night for him.
Wasn't it? So he had 2 strange goals go in, both deflections from his own teammates, so he is not very happy. He said a lot of unkind words right there, and after hearing that, Dallas Eakins said, hey, you're back in. Head back there. So Dubnyk played 30 seconds or so, and then LaBarbera's back in there. I asked him this morning, ever happened to you before? Nope. He had no idea how to react.
I think they went to a commercial break because I was watching that game and I changed channels and came back and LaBarbera's back in goal. I thought, what the heck happened?
I like the idea that Dallas Eakins liked his anger too, his reaction, that it wasn't his fault. He had 2 goals deflected in by his own teammates, and he thought, you know what, let's throw him back in there and see how he plays, and he played well.
He admitted to us, Eakins did this morning, if he just came to the bench quietly and sat down, he wouldn't have done it. But the fact that he was that fiery about it convinced him to put him back in there.
Well, last week, you remember Braden Holtby when he was pulled in Calgary. Not very happy, and on After Hours, Adam Oates told Scott and I that he was glad that he's not happy.
Yeah, and in the same case with Holtby for Washington last week in Calgary, not his fault that they were behind.
Yeah.
6 minutes gone here in the second period. All the scoring came in the first in a 27-second span. Ryan Jones trying to get the puck out. He pulls it away from Bertuzzi and brings it to center. Here's Eberle on the right side. Jordan Eberle chips it in. Jones on the forecheck. Puck behind the net. Nugent Hopkins all tied up there by Zetterberg. That allows Kronwall to take control. Nice pass to Datsyuk. He'll throw it to an open wing at center ice. Eberle gets it back. Feeds it ahead. Tipped in, not deep. Bouncer. Kronwall has to settle it down. Pressured back to the corner by Jones, who throws a hit. But DeKeyser makes the play. Over to Kronwall, back to DeKeyser on the far side, and he'll find Zetterberg at center ice. Henrik Zetterberg over the line. Nifty play back to Datsyuk. On the half wall now. Kindle jumps up in the play with a shot that hit a leg in front. Bounces into the corner. And the puck's flipped out to the neutral zone. Wings right back in. Daniel Alfredsson makes a move at the top of the circle. On the other side, Kindle with a shot, scores! Jakob Kindle with his first of the year makes it 3-0 Detroit.
Kindle had 2 good scoring chances on this shift. Just getting in good position for a one-timer right here. Alfredsson spots him. Kindle gets wide on the play, opens up and just blasts a rocket that LaBarbera can't get a beat on. I mean, it looks like it should be stopped from that far out, but when it's a one-timer and that puck just explodes off the stick, it's hard for your eyes to adjust to that. But what vision by Alfredsson. Cross-ice pass. I'm sure Jason LaBarbera feels he should have had it, but that is a terrific shot.
Second point of the night for Daniel Alfredsson. First goal of the season for Jakob Kindl, and the Wings are up 3-0. 7 minutes gone now here in the second period. And the Oilers' struggles at home continue. Lost 4-0 to Toronto last game, down 3-0 here.
Considering all the goaltending controversy here, I'm sure Dubnyk or LaBarbera feels that's not going to help.
Here's Tatar getting out front to Abdelkader with a redirect on goal. LaBarbera with a nice pad save to hang on for a faceoff. So Jason LaBarbera, after giving up the third goal, prevents the fourth right there with a good stop on Abdelkader. 3-0 Red Wings, 12.5 left in the second on Hockey Night in Canada.
An Edmonton stop on a Wings road trip's a homecoming for Chris Osgood, the three-time Stanley Cup champion goaltender, caught up with his father John at Rexall Place this morning. After his retirement, Osgood became a goalie development coach for the Wings, but this season's answered a higher calling, becoming a full-time broadcaster, doing analysis of the Wings games on Fox Sports Detroit, working with Ken Daniels tonight. Osgood, I thought, started as a broadcaster with a real bang, conducting a fascinating interview with Patrick Roy in which they recounted the days of the Colorado-Detroit 1990s rivalry, and Osgood actually got Roy to admit how much he wanted to beat the bleep out of them. Rick.
Chris was telling me this morning that he only found out the night before too, so he didn't have lots of time to research and all the stuff, but boy, that was a beautiful, just a natural interview.
Speaking of Ken Daniels, the play-by-play voice of the Detroit Red Wings, telling us today this is the first ever trip in the history of the Wings where they've done all 4 Western Canadian cities in one fell swoop with no going, south of the border to a different place. So that's hard, even going back to the original Winnipeg Jets days.
Yeah.
It's the third game of the trip for them. They'll play in Winnipeg to wrap it up in a couple of nights. Here's a chance from the line. Quincy with room to shoot, gets it away through traffic, but that goes off a leg into the corner. I think it hit Drew Miller at the side of the goal. Quincy gets it back at the point. On the right side now to Smith, back to Quincy. Out front, there's a backhand by Samuelsson that's stopped by LaBarbera, and it's all Detroit right now. The Oilers just standing still out there, it seems, Kelly. Fans getting restless. And now there's a penalty coming up. It'll be a cross-checking call, and Ben Eager hasn't been on the ice much tonight. Is going to go to the box.
They're overwhelmed and they're thinking too much now, as you said. They're standing still. They're not reacting. And when you're thinking and not reacting, you know you're going to be in big trouble right here. Dallas Eakins throws out the fourth line. Edmonton trying to get an energy shift going, but it was all just Detroit, just excellent puck movement. Kyle Quincy there with a number of good plays. Quincy also found Samuelsson in the slot. Samuelsson had a good backhand, so just tearing apart the Oilers' defense right now.
Third power play of the night for the Red Wings. They're 0 for 2. 2 shots in their 2 chances. They'll set it up. Kronwall along the boards to Zetterberg. Datsuk in the slot. Bertuzzi out front. Cross-ice pass. There's a shot by Alfredsson. He hit the post. LaBarbera down, and Alfredsson put it off the iron. Looking for his third point of the hockey game. Zetterberg gets it back to Bertuzzi in behind the net. Taken away by Schmid, who's able to play it up the boards. Not out. Alfredsson kept it onside. Here's Datsuk. Nifty play to Kronwall. Back to Datsuk. Schmid gets a stick in there, breaks up that chance, and Gagne should have room to clear the zone, which he does.
Good play by Schmid to read that play.
Henrik Zetterberg wheels over the line. Datsuk and Bertuzzi with him. Pass back for Bertuzzi, fails to connect. Gagne will break back with Eberle. 2-on-2. They crisscross into the zone, shorthanded. Eberle tries to make a move, and he's poke checked nicely by Alfredsson. 4 Red Wings through center ice. Datsuk down the right side. On the backhand, plays it out front into traffic. Andrew Ferentz able to break that up and clear it to the line, and Eberle will bring it out. Late in his PK shift, dumps the puck in, heads off on a change. Midway through this Detroit power play, as we approach the midway mark of the hockey game, all Wings up 3-zip here in Edmonton. Michael Samuelsson slowly out of his own zone. Drop pass at center. Thomas Tatar will carry in. Nice play to Samuelsson. Back to the line to Kindl. Kindl with a shot. And glove save by LaBarbera. And he's able to hang on. 37 seconds left in the power play.
The top players of Detroit are so good at finding the seams, and there's going to be a great example of it here with Zetterberg, knowing that Alfredsson is coming in from his point position on the power play, and he just rings that off the side of the post. But I'll tell you what, they just wait. They have a unique knack for knowing when to put that puck in those seams.
Wings love playing in Edmonton. They have not lost outright their last 12 games in this building. That goes back to 2006. 7-0-5.
In fairness, the Oilers haven't had that good of teams here, and home hasn't been kind to them.
Weiss. He's been in a bit of a drought offensively. He lost control of the puck there. It was cleared out to center ice. Pointless in his last 8 games. Works it back in on the right side now to Cleary. Off the boards to Kindle with a nice play. Kindle gets the puck over. Shot from the top of the circle is steered aside. Tatar pulled the trigger. LaBarbera made the save. Penalty comes to an end. Eagers out of the box. Oilers clear the zone, but penalty over. That'll be icing on Edmonton. 3 shots on goal for Detroit, plus the goalpost by Daniel Alfredsson, but it's 0 for 3 on the power play.
Well, when you're at home, you hope that it's an imposing and a difficult building to play in. You can see by the Oilers' home record that this is a fun place to come in if you're on the road, and that shouldn't be the case. And right now they've got to find a way to turn that around. That teams are afraid not only of the talent, but some of the gritty players. And right now, there's not a lot of pushback.
Yeah, for this team to take a step forward, it's got to start at home.
Yeah.
They've only won 14 of their last 41 home games, Kelly.
Yeah.
And I think that's as good an illustration as any of the struggles of this hockey team right now. 9 minutes left, second period. Another turnover at the line. Abdelkader trying to work the puck down the boards. Gets away from Nugent Hopkins, puts it behind the net. Miller's there. He's all tied up by Andrew Ference. Puck comes back to the point to Kyle Quincy. On the other side, one-timer goes just wide of the goal. Kaiser pulled the trigger there. Missed the net. Quincy pinches, kept it in for a moment. Now it's cleared off the glass and out. They're going to wave off icing. Edmonton will start a change. So will Detroit. Danny DeKeyser back to it. Leaves the puck for Smith. Brandon Smith took a hit, gave it away. Yakupov fanned in a shot, and Zetterberg picked his pocket. Got it as far as the line, no further. Here comes Nugent Hopkins with Hemsky joining him. Hemsky gets around a check. Penalty coming up to the wings as Smith got the hook on Hemsky. Delayed call. Belov at the point. Nugent Hopkins with a shot. Stop. Loose puck, top of the crease. The wings touch it, and the whistle blows, and Edmonton going on the power play. We'll see if the Oilers get a little life with the man advantage. 3-0 Detroit in Edmonton on Hockey Night in Canada. Oilers get their second power play of the game. They're 0 for 1, had 2 shots on their first chance, and Smith sits for this.
Hemsky did this to Quincy in the first period, and in this one, Brendan Smith takes a penalty. And so the Oilers go on the power play with a chance to get back in the game.
Down 3-0. This is one area you think Edmonton would be better at. They've struggled with the power play, just 1 for their last 27 now over the last 10 games, Kelly.
They are fairly predictable, though. They like to go down low and right through the crease, and if you've watched a lot of their games, and I'm sure the opposition has done a lot of that pre-scouting, that you know that that's one of their go-to plays.
Kronwall works it out and fires the puck in on the PK. Petrie will get it in the corner. Pressured by Anderson, so he turns back. Almost left the puck behind, but Petrie regroups. Now Eberle will skate it out of his own end on the right side. Up to center ice. Jordan Eberle over the line. 4 Oilers in to the zone on the power play. They'll set it up. Petrie, top of the circle. Nugent Hopkins works it down low with a shot. Glove save by Mrazek. That may be his best save of the night, and he hangs on.
People are talking about shot at Ryan Nugent Hopkins this year being much better after his shoulder surgery. He gets a pretty good chance right here, but Mrazek stays on his feet, unlike most goaltenders. Most of them are down at that point. That might have been the reason why he made that save look pretty easy. High short side is a spot shooters like right now, and Mrazek stayed on his feet.
Gagne on the draw against Weiss. Puck goes to the boards. Weiss gets after it, but he falls. Here's Yakupov, works it across. On the other side to Belov. Gets the return pass, then plays it along the left wing wall. Carried out front of the goal. There's a shot by Hemsky. That goes off the face of Lashoff, and he is down immediately. Oh my. It sounds like it may have hit visor, and that looks like it's going to be the saving grace for Brian Lashoff as that shot went right up into his face, Kelly.
I think Rickett hits Weiss first. Hemsky's right in the slot, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Yeah, it sure does. It hits Weiss. He gets his stick in there, obviously in an attempt to deflect that puck wide, and Lashoff, of course, has no chance to react to that.
Good news is back on his feet, and, well, there's your PSA for visors.
Got that right.
Because he had, you're right, I mean, he was 5 feet in front of the shot.
Yep. And Hemsky has one of the best wrist shots in the game.
So he'll stay on the bench. Oilers stay on the power play. Weiss beats Gagne on the draw. Puck comes to Tatar, and he'll fire it down the ice. LaBarbera leaves it behind the bench, or behind the net rather. And Belov pokes it ahead. Yakupov there to dump it in. Mrazek plays it back to the corner. And there's Kronwall to fire it down the ice.
Pretty good communication by Kronwall to Mrazek. He just went and stood in the corner and, hey kid, get me the puck, and then down the ice the puck goes.
Hemsky cut off at the line, and they go offside. One of the areas where, especially on your power play, you got to win faceoffs. Faceoffs in this game, 30-12 for Detroit.
Well, that tells you everything right there. If you don't have the puck, and you know what, you're not going to generate any scoring opportunities. The Oilers still with only 9 shots with 6:49 left in the second period.
Yeah, it's even more lopsided this period. 13-3 in favor of the Wings. Now 13-4 because the Oilers just won that one and work it in. Half minute left in the power play. Puck bounces to the near side. Darren Helm gets over to it. Scored a goal in his first game back on a breakaway, and he does a good job on the PK there. Dumps it down the ice, heads off on a change. Petrie out of his own zone. Last rush with the man advantage. Arcobello flips it around. Everly goes to it in the corner. Backhands it behind the net, high off the glass. Arcobello to it in the right corner. Feathers a pass through. Nugent Hopkins, top of the circle. Throws a cross-ice pass for Everly, deflected. I think Kindle got a stick on it. Penalty over, Smith out of the box. Oilers 0 for 2 on the power play, but still pressuring. Shot by Nugent Hopkins, misses, and it goes around the boards and out to center ice. Andrew Ference will be joining you and Scotty on After Hours tonight. Dumps the puck in.
Yep. Talk to him about leading a young team like this that's struggling, and you know, with his veteran experience, how is he going to do that?
Comes to the Oilers in the offseason, then named the 14th captain of this team in September. And you know, the reason why is for his experience. Yep. I mean, they wanted an older guy. There's lots of speculation about who was going to wear the C.
Dallas Aikens was telling us this morning, when you talk about Ference, it's just that he competes in every single shift.
Here's Yakupov with a shot off the wing, off the leg of Kronwall wide. Ference activates, works the puck down low on the forehand to Gagne. To Yakupov, threw it out front through the crease, off the boards and down the ice.
I think he was trying to hit that off Mrazek.
5 minutes left, second period. Wings in control in Edmonton. As the Oilers chip it back in, Quincy back to it. Jones steals on the forecheck, works it out front, turns with a shot. That never got through. It hit DeKaiser, and he's able to find Thomas Tatar out the center ice. 2-on-2 with Abdelkader. Tatar with a shot. That goes off the stick of Larson wide. Abdelkader pokes the puck to the boards. Anderson tries to get over there. He can't. Tatar comes in to help out. Puck winds up in the corner. Belov ties up Tatar. Acton's waiting for it to come free. They bang away along the boards. Ryan Jones got it back to the line, but it's kept onside by Brandon Smith. Now it comes free to Jones, and he'll get it out the center. Nice play, finds Belov by himself over the line, and had it taken off a stick, and a good play by Kyle Quincy, who clears it to safety.
Well, Belov should have shot that puck. Trying to be a little bit too fancy and beat the last guy, Quincy, and he's in pretty good shooting position.
Everly works it in. His pass blocked, broken up, and back come the Red Wings. Possible 2-on-1. Samuelsson with him. Samuelsson shoots. Pad save by LaBarbera, and the rebound goes to the boards. Well, if the Oilers manage a comeback in this game, we'll keep our... See if we can remember that save, because that's big.
And the one on Abdelkader before that from
Absolutely.
LaBarbera.
Petrie down the wing with a shot deflected off the outside of the net. Mrazek may have got a glove on that. Puck comes back to the line. And there's Lashoff. Good to see him back on the ice after taking a puck off the visor a few minutes ago. Clears the zone. Gagne gets it in. Kindle checks him. Samuelsson over to help out. He's been a healthy scratch 9 of the last 10 games for the Red Wings. Comes in for Patrick Eaves tonight. Here goes Yakupov. Over the line. Passes left side. Shot stopped by Mrazek, and the rebound play to the boards for Samuelsson. Datsuk on the right side to Zetterberg. Zetterberg plays it to Datsuk's side of the goal, and behind the net, throws it out front. That's intercepted. And Schmid able to lift it high over the head of everybody and back to the Red Wings zone with 3 minutes to go in the second period.
Good play by Hemsky and Schmid to recognize the Red Wings are going to make a quick up right there because the Oilers are on a change.
Bertuzzi played it outside the line, and Kronwall brought it back in offside. 2:52 to go in the second period in Edmonton on Hockey Night in Canada. So, Kelly, Daniel Alfredsson was a big free agent signing in the offseason. We all know that, much to the chagrin of many Ottawa Senators fans. Took number 11. Daniel Cleary was a free agent, hadn't re-signed yet.
Right.
He signed after Alfredsson. Alfredsson said, hey, I'll give you 11 back. The league said no. The NHL said, we've already spent $150,000 with Alfredsson wearing a Detroit Red Wings number 11 for the Winter Classic, and we're not going to let you wear it. So that's why Daniel Cleary is wearing number 71 now as a Red Wing.
Well, thanks for the update. I didn't know that, Rick. Thank you.
I don't know, $150,000 in a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's peanuts, isn't it?
I'm thinking.
Cleary, all right, I'll take 71. If you squint, it kind of looks like 11.
Now, what happens after the Winter Classic?
Nice. Maybe next year they can switch back.
Maybe.
I haven't dug that deep into it, Kelly.
We'll get to work.
Yeah. Late stage of second period. All Wings. Stephen Weiss to Alfredsson. Flips it over the head of Schultz. Weiss on the forecheck, but Ferentz gets to it in the corner, then gave it away to Alfredsson. Line mates headed to the bench. Schultz to the puck. Behind the net to Ferentz. Andrew Ferentz and Jason LaBarbera were on a Portland Winterhawks team that won a Memorial Cup. That was a great team back in the 90s.
No kidding.
Hossa? Yeah, and Mike Babcock coached the Spokane Chiefs, who hosted that year. Marian Hossa was unbelievable on that Hawks team.
Well, you'd expect nothing less. He's been an unbelievable NHL player.
And blew out his knee in the championship game.
That's right. I'd forgotten about that.
At the end of the game when the Hawks won the cup, they pushed him out to center ice on a chair so he could hold the trophy over his head. There's a shot from the line, but a Kaiser into traffic, and LaBarbera is able to make the save. Puck is loose. Zetterberg can't get a stick to it. LaBarbera's down. He's facing the wrong way, and it comes back into him, and he's able to hang on. That's a lucky break for LaBarbera, who's able to hang on for a face-off as we throw things back to Scott Oak.
Rick, injury updates. Brian Lashoff hit in the face with the puck, played a shift after, but now has gone to the Detroit room for attention. Boyd Gordon, we think, was hurt blocking a shot earlier in the period. He's not on the Edmonton bench, so that would be just what the Oilers need, another injury.
Well, speaking about injuries, when LaBarbera was on the ice, Rick, I kind of thought that he may have been injured as well on that long shot, because he was slow to get up. But then when I looked at it again, Todd Bertuzzi was all over him and standing above him. So I think that's why LaBarbera had a problem getting up.
Yeah, I'm not a goalie expert, Kelly. You are, but I'm pretty sure facing with your face into the net is not proper goaltending technique.
I made a career of it. 15 years, my friend.
It worked. Puck came right back to him. Good to see him okay as the Red Wings dump the puck in final minute of play in the second period. As the Wings have done a good job just limiting chances by Edmonton and sitting on this lead, which they've built to 3. On a second period goal by Jakob Kindl, his first of the year. Beloff to center. He'll flip it in. Rings it around the boards. Darren Helm to it in the corner. Works it off the wall. Almost coughed it up, but he gets it back. Helm. Lead pass. Too far for Samuelsson. He'll give chase. They wave off icing. Samuelsson and Larson go to the end boards. Beloff gets a stick up near his face. No call on the play. Oilers get control. Gagne almost gave it away to Samuelsson, but Edmonton able to regroup, and now they cough it up in the neutral zone. Samuelsson quickly ahead to Helm, trying to pick it up off the boards. Beloff gets over to knock it away, but Helm gets it back. Skates the puck to the high slot, drops it off for Kronwall. A hard pass to Samuelsson with a shot from a sharp angle that misses. Back to Kronwall, time winding down. Will they get a shot away? No, horn sounds. And the second period comes to an end.
Well, Jason LaBarbera might regret that Kindl shot going in. Other than that, he's been brilliant since coming in. I mean, it's all been Detroit. This could be worse than 3-0.
Yeah, the Oilers have got to regroup, find something to build on in the third period, because the Wings are in complete control, up 3-0 after 2 in Edmonton on Hockey Night in Canada. Welcome back to Rexall Place in Edmonton. 3-0 Red Wings lead. Third period just underway. Darren Helm and Thomas Tatar in the first. Jakob Kindl in the second. Alfredsson has a couple of goals. And they've outshot the Oilers 21-10. A couple of assists, excuse me. Thank you. But it's been all Detroit. As the score and the shots would indicate, just 3 scoring chances for the Oilers, Kelly, in this game. 1 last period.
Well, and the other thing is you're going up against an untested goaltender. Why wouldn't you put more shots at the net?
There's a steal by Yakupov. He's trying to pull away down the wing. Has a man out front. Arcobello to the goal. Yakupov in the corner. And he gets cut off behind the net by Smith. And that'll do it for that chance as the Red Wings get control and work it back to the neutral zone. Thomas Tatar got it as far as the line and no further. Cleary with the puck. Lost control of it there. Schmid will feed it ahead, and it's backhanded in by Arcobello. Dan Cleary to the puck. Alfredsson drops it off. Brendan Smith got it as far as the blue line. Had his pocket picked, but then gets it back. Now he'll work it in. Alfredsson down the wing. Chips the puck to the corner. Cleary throws a hit. Puck comes to the near side. Gagne ties up Alfredsson. That allows Petrie to clear the zone to center ice. Yakupov late in the shift puts it deep and heads off on a change. Here comes Weiss. Abdelkader with him, takes the pass, plays it back to the high slot. Lashoff with a shot, saved by LaBarbera. Got their left pad out to make that stop on Lashoff. Keeps it a 3-goal game. Tatar goes back to work in the offensive zone. Here's Abdelkader in the circle. Drops it off. Anderson put it behind the net. Beloff there to play it to Jones, and he'll have room to skate it out to center ice. 3 Oilers to the neutral zone. As Jones chips it in, Larson jumps up on the play. Plays the puck to the side of the goal. Hamilton can't reach it. Abdelkader takes it away, puts it off a leg and outs. Boyd Gordon back to it. Gets it ahead to Eager, who'll tip it in. Mrazek leaves it behind the net. Darren Helm takes control. Gordon was not on the bench for a while in the second period, Kelly, after he blocked the shot. So good to see him back out there, especially in a game where the Oilers are not doing very well in the faceoff circle. He is their key faceoff guy.
And Lashoff is back out for Detroit as well. Another injury update.
Got a puck in the visor. Scary looking play. Here's Smith with a shot. That's steered out of play by LaBarbera. And the puck winds up going over the glass. We get a whistle.
Daniel Alfredsson was a little banged up on the bench. Going to take a look what happens here. Looks like Sam Gagne gets him right there on the hand, the slash. So Alfredsson goes right off at that point. Seems he's okay though.
All-time, pretty much all everything in the history of the Ottawa Senators. Games played, goals, assists, points. And they thought they were getting him back this year. It was a big surprise to a lot of people when he wound up signing in Detroit.
Myself included. I don't know about what your reaction was, but I was shocked and surprised.
Says he wants to win a cup before he's done. 1-year deal with the Red Wings. And he's had a good night tonight with 2 helpers.
Very good night.
And almost scored a goal, put one off the post on the power play in the second period.
Yep.
Here's Datsuk just ragging the puck along the boards. Works it back to the line, but has to go out to the neutral zone to settle it down. Bertuzzi will tip it in. Datsuk on the forecheck. Chases Petrie into the corner. Datsuk steals the puck away, but had it taken away from him, and Hemsky has room to skate it ahead. Plays it out to center ice for Eberle. Nice move to get away from Cleary. Eberle into the zone, drop pass to Hemsky with a shot. Put that just wide, looking glove side. Bounces back to the point. Beloff will keep it in. Flips it behind the net. Alfredsson first one to it, and he clears the zone to center. A bouncer there. Weiss gets it ahead. Cleary dumps it into the backhand. Beloff to it behind the net. Weiss chases him. Larson off the boards. Got it ahead to Gagne. He's checked by Weiss, but the puck comes out to the neutral zone. Oilers have to regroup in their own end. You talk about Edmonton struggling, Kelly. Injuries have not helped. When you look at Taylor Hall, his 6th game out with a knee injury. David Perron with a sore neck. Justin Schultz out with some sore ribs. As they work it on the line with a shot, Mrazek with a save, and he's able to hang on.
on to cbcsports.ca/powerpicks and choose your Silverado Power Picks for this week. Each vote counts as a chance to win a 2014 Chevy Silverado.
Tater Hall up near us, watching the game and wondering when he might get back in the lineup, because this team definitely needs a spark, and it hasn't happened tonight.
Well, he skated yesterday and he skated this morning, so that could be a good sign. It looked actually, in fact, this morning that he was skating pretty hard, so hopefully he gets back sooner. Help these guys. They just got to learn again to have some fun. They're just thinking out there. It's just very little natural reaction right now for the Oilers.
And Dallas Eakins talked about that with us this morning, talking about how he's got to teach his team to play a more responsible game, and it looks to me like it's a team trying to learn what the coach wants. And we got a power play coming up to the Wings, for the Wings, a holding call on the Oilers. So Detroit, fourth power play of the game, 0 for 3 so far, and they'll go back to work with a 3-0 lead.
Well, Jones is going to argue this penalty, but I will say this on his behalf, that he has been an energy player for the Oilers, including after 2 periods, 5 hits. So right there, the one thing about Jones right now is that you're not going to question his enthusiasm or his effort. But clearly on that play,
Not much doubt
No.
on that penalty. So the Red Wings power play goes to work. Here's Alfredson down the boards. Throws it back to the left point to Zetterberg with a shot, and that goes wide of the goal. Rings around the glass to the near side, and there's Arcobello to play it off the boards and down the ice. So one of the bright spots tonight for the Oilers has been their penalty killing. Came into the game tonight ranked 26th in the league against the 17th ranked power play, but they've done a good job so far in this game. Alfredson to the line. To Zetterberg. Behind the net for Bertuzzi. Eberle gets to the puck ahead of Bertuzzi, but he kicks it free to Zetterberg, and he gives it away to Gagner. Sam Gagner on the PK out the center. Datsyuk hassling him, trying to lift his stick. Gagner able to work it in. Gets around Alfredson. To the corner. Alfredson picked his pocket. Good work by Gagner, and the penalty kill as Zetterberg works it back the other way. Over the line on the right side to Datsyuk. He'll set it up. Down low for Zetterberg. Zetterberg let it go behind the net for Bertuzzi, but he went to the front of the goal, and that'll allow the Oilers to take the puck and fire it down the ice. Jakob Kindl had his first goal of the season in the second period. Drops it off in the neutral zone. Weiss gets it ahead. And here goes Tatar. Back to the line to Kindl. Kindl with a slap shot, deflected off traffic in front of the goal into the corner. Samuelsson right point. Kindl, lots of room, gets a shot away. Toe save by LaBarbera. Somehow got the left pad out and made that stop. Samuelsson across the line. Kindl again. He'll shoot again. That goes just wide of the goal around the boards. Back to the right point to Weiss. Weiss gives the puck to Tatar. Thomas Tatar, who's had a good game tonight, to Samuelsson, over to Kindl. Kindl shoots again, put it just wide of the goal. Cleary pokes the puck to the end boards. 5 seconds left in the power play. They're not done yet. Here's Kindl. He'll shoot again, put it wide. Firing away from that left point. Now the penalty comes to an end. Jones out of the box, and the Oilers are perfect on the penalty kill tonight.
well, because Jason LaBarbera made some spectacular saves there. He's battling hard tonight. This might be his best game.
Injured wing in the corner. That's Quincy. He was taken down by Jones. Quincy's back on his feet, has the puck, but not out of trouble yet. The Oilers turn on the heat. Nugent Hopkins on the right wing boards. Nifty play back to the line. Larson lost the puck, and Detroit able to skate it out to center. Weiss at the end of his shift will dump it in, head off on a change.
Not surprised Jones with the hit right there. He's been a physical player for Edmonton tonight.
Here's a chance for Abdelkader with a shot. Another save by LaBarbera through traffic. Abdelkader gets the puck in the corner. Works it behind the net. On the backhand. Looking out front. Tries a shot. That never got through. It was blocked by Belov. There's a wraparound attempt. Loose puck. They score. Wraparound went to the far side. And it's fired in by Anderson. 4-0 Detroit.
Down low coverage again, causing the Oilers some problems. The wraparound by Miller, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was furious after this goal goes in. He misses his check right there. Stops skating 1/2 stride right there, and that allows Anderson to get separation. And those are just the little things when you're not reacting Because Nugent Hopkins is a good player in his own zone normally. He recognizes those situations each and every time. And on this one, he let Anderson get half a stride away from him.
Second goal of the season for Anderson, as you see there. He's one of 4 players in the Wings lineup who won the Calder Cup with Grand Rapids last year.
He had a good playoff for the Red Wings.
So Miller and Abdelkader get the helpers. Schmid with a shot. That's deflected wide. Kindle got a stick of the way. Steered it wide of the goal. Datsuk goes to a loose puck in the corner. And for the second straight home game, Oilers are trailing 4-0.
Well, let's see if they find that same sort of urgency they found versus Toronto when they're down 4-0 in their own building.
Petrie with a lead pass. Deflected in. Mrazek leaves that puck behind the net. Now Datsuk takes control. He'll retreat. So we approach the 9-minute mark of the third. All Red Wings. Shots 27-11. Another penalty coming up to the Oilers. Boyd Gordon takes down Alfredson at the line. So Detroit with a lead going back on the power play as they are all over Edmonton right now on CBC. Time now for Hockey Night Close-Up, brought to you by Subway Restaurants.
Thomas Tatar, maybe a future star in this game, is going to show a little bit of his work tonight. Just how special he's been. What a beautiful backhand pass that was right there. He's been strong on the puck. Good puck protection here, getting away from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Then, of course, scoring in his 3rd consecutive game right here. So Thomas Tatar having a heck of a game. And, you know, I've also been impressed, Rick, with his defensive play. Here's a penalty. Boyd Gordon, getting a stick in there on Alfredson, and once again on the power play.
5th power play of the game for the Red Wings, 0 for 4. 6 shots on those 4 chances, and a goal post. Weiss will feed it out front, tipped on goal. LaBarbera got a pad on that. Rebound goes to the corner. Here's Weiss. Back to the line, one-timer by Samuelsson, fanned on it. Puck goes right to Eberle, and he'll break back shorthanded. All by himself, in deep with a shot. Mrazek steers that away off his shoulder. Puck comes up the near boards and out over the blue line. Tatar's there. Gets it ahead. Cleary's bumped off the puck by Petrie, and it's fired down the ice by Eberle. So if the Wings power play had anything going on tonight, this might be uglier than it is right now for the Oilers.
Yeah.
Todd Bertuzzi will carry in. Nice play to Zetterberg in deep. Behind the net, looking out front. Throws a pass across. Bertuzzi scores. What a beauty. That's a power play goal. 5-0 Red Wings.
That's just vision and knowledge of the game right there. Letting the game develop in front of you and not forcing anything. Just Zetterberg waiting. He did that in the 2nd period with that chance that Alfredson had. Bertuzzi dishes this off, and Bertuzzi's just going to go now. Makes that pass, and now he's just going to go in backdoor, find the seam right there. But the Edmonton Oilers just way too puck focused. Take a look at Petrie, Gagne, everybody just looking at the puck carrier, Zetterberg, and not taking a look behind them.
Bertuzzi from Zetterberg and Kindle. Mentioned earlier, Tom Bertuzzi scored more goals against the Oilers than any other team in his career. That's 21 now against Edmonton. Power play goal. Wings right back in. Samuelsson drops it off. There's a shot that never got through. Quincy pulled the trigger. That was blocked, and puck is chipped out over the line to center ice. Just past the midway mark of the third. Giveaway. Samuelsson over the line. Pass on the other side of Quincy. Went behind him out to the neutral zone. Fired back in by Brendan Smith.
It's not easy to do, but the Oilers have to find a way to raise their level of compete, because, you know, once you start going down this road and you start accepting the losing, it gets to be an awfully difficult game to play.
Here's Eberle trying a backhand that never got through. That had promise. Didn't result in a shot. Now Schultz, slapper, hit the goalpost. Beat Mrazek, put it off the iron. It's the best chance of the night for the Oilers, and now the Wings able to chip it out. Eberle back the other way. Nugent-Hopkins with him. Hemsky as well. Eberle in deep, throws it out front for Schultz. He couldn't direct it towards the goal. Stays in deep, plays the puck to the corner. Jordan Eberle there, drops it off for Nugent-Hopkins. turns away from DeKeyser, cuts out on the backhand, turns to the forehand, then fanned on the shot, got it right back. This time he will shoot. That goes off DeKeyser's skate. And Cromwell will have a chance to clear, gets it out over the line. Schultz can't keep it onside. And the Oilers regroup. And then they cough it up. Abdelkader will work it in. All by himself. Mates have gone to the bench for a change. Weiss. Checked by Nugent Hopkins, who puts it off the boards high. Lashoff, good job to keep it onside, only for a moment though. And now Nugent Hopkins carries out. End of his shift, dumps the puck in and heads off. 5-0 Wings. Shots are 29-12.
Yikes. And that's accurate too. That's, you know what? It deserves to be 29-12.
Here they come again. Alfredsson quickly up, looking for Cleary on the left side. Couldn't quite reach the pass. Alfredsson and Cleary in on a forecheck. Puck sits loose. Schmid gets it, but ran into his own man and is kept onside at the point. Quincy will try a shot. That goes off a stick and out of play. Well, it's not pretty in Edmonton for the Oilers, but the Wings are loving it. They lead 5-0 at Rexall Place on Hockey Night in Canada. 5-0 Wings in Edmonton. And you know, the schedule, Kelly, hasn't done the Oilers any favors either. This is the final game of a 2-game homestand. They're in the middle of a stretch where they're playing 12 of 15 on the road. And we'll start a 4-game road trip in Florida on Tuesday. So, you know, you pile all the injuries on top of the schedule. No excuses, but it certainly isn't in their favor right now.
Well, it is a factor, though. It's a reality that you have to deal with when you're playing out here, and it hasn't been kind. And Dallas Aikens, I know, even talked about that when he was out east and people out west would complain about it, he thought they were just whining, not recognizing how difficult it can be.
John Tortorella getting a crash course in that. On the coast in Vancouver. There's a win by Datsuk to the line with a shot, and that's gloved by LaBarbera, who hangs on.
Well, you know, Jason LaBarbera isn't going to quit. This is an opportunity for him to get back in the net, albeit it wasn't under the circumstances he wanted with the injury to Bachman, but no, find a way to compete. Oh, there's a bad giveaway.
Datsuk plays it out front, and recovering is Schmid to knock it away, and the puck comes out to center ice. That was not a smart play, but Oilers able to recover and avoid more injury in terms of offense by Detroit. They've been all over the Oilers from the start of this game. Shots are 30-12 Wings, 18-6 since the end of the first period. And it all started with 2 goals, 27 seconds apart in the first. Hemsky to a puck. Tries to feed it deep. That's cut off. Quincy will give it over to Smith. Weiss can't clear. Nice job by Yakupov to keep it in. Long shot by Hemsky. Misses the net. Smith gets the rebound off the end boards. Quincy will play it ahead to Alfredsson. Stephen Weiss. Back to Daniel Alfredsson. Down the left wing over the line, but offside as Cleary falls and slides in early as we throw things back to Scott Oak.
Rick, when the injury bug bites, it can really get you. You can add Richard Bachman to the Oilers list now. It was already 5 players long to start the night, although a few of the 5 are close, including Taylor Hall, who will be on the upcoming road trip, as will Ryan Smith. He's just about recovered from his groin pull, but Taylor Hall's been skating hard as he recovers from his knee injury. The Oilers can only hope that the road is kinder than home ice. They've been outscored 17-2 in the last 11 and a half periods at Rexall Place.
Thank you, Scott. And barring a miraculous comeback here in the final 6.5 minutes, Kelly, it's going to be 14 wins in their last 43 home games now, or 42? 42 home games. So, boy, oh boy, this has not been a friendly place for the home team, and they got to figure out a way to get that turned around. A long shot by Lashoff is easily stopped by LaBarbera, who hangs on. Rick joins Toronto's Zombie Walk and gains some life-saving skills in Nanaimo, BC on an all-new Rick Mercer report coming up Tuesday at 8 on CBC TV.
On their travel date tomorrow to Florida before their upcoming game, they're going to have to find a way to work on their heads, because this is all in their head right now. This has nothing to do with physical abilities for the Edmonton Oilers right now. They're just defeated in their own minds and frustrated. It's not pretty to watch.
Lashoff, good job to keep it onside for a moment, but Jones able to take it back and work it through center to Hamilton. Back to Jones down the wing. Backhand shot off the stick of Kindle behind the net. Hamilton jams away at the side of the goal. That goes wide. Ryan Jones checked off the puck by Lashoff. He'll flip it ahead and out. Schmid going back to it. Both teams start a change. Inside 6 minutes to go. Todd Bertuzzi able to take a puck away. He'll circle his own net and turn up ice with Zetterberg, who takes the pass. Bertuzzi goes to the net. Zetterberg cuts to the middle, poked off a stick by Belov, and the puck slides out to center ice. Zetterberg to DeKeyser. What a signing he's turned out to be for the Red Wings.
No kidding.
Yakupov keeps it onside. Works it back to the line. Now Belov off the wing with a shot that missed the net. Bounces back to Petrie at the point with a long slapper. That's off the glove of Mrazek and wide of the goal. Marcabello behind the net. Back to Petrie at the right point. Owners show a little life here on this shift. The Kaiser able to break up the cycle. Makes a nifty play to Zetterberg, and he'll tip it over to Alfredsson, who skates it out. Gains center, chips it in. Wings will start a change. And meantime, we've got an injured player right in front of the Edmonton bench. That's Belov, who's down and looks like he's clutching his knee. We'll check up on him when we come back to Edmonton. Inside 5 minutes to go. 5-0 Wings on CBC. Well, Dallas Eakins must be wondering what he's done to offend the hockey gods, adding insult to injury to injury to injury. Belov goes down hard.
We just talked about how it is that they're playing through all these difficult injuries and key guys, and Belov at 27 years old has been a pretty good player for them. Can definitely tell that he's got a lot of offensive upside. He's got a steadiness about his game, but that's not looking good.
So you already lose Bachman, your goaltender, tonight. Boyd Gordon was out for a bit. He's back. That's the good news. And now Belov doesn't look like he's coming back tonight. Inside 5 minutes to go in the third period. And the Wings looking for more. Last Oilers home goal over 117 minutes ago.
Number of goalposts they hit, though. You want to look at the bright side? How else would you look at it?
There's not a lot of brightness.
No, there's not.
Turn up the dimmer switch. Fans showing their displeasure at Rexall Place. Andrew Ference dumps the puck in. Again, he'll be joining Kelly and Scott Oak on After Hours tonight. Darren Helm back in the lineup with a shot off the wing. That's blocked. Not a goal on a breakaway to open the scoring in this game. Played just one game in 18 months prior to tonight.
He's looked really good, hasn't he?
He's skating well, too, and that's the other thing. You know, with the groin injury, you wondered if it might affect his skating, which is obviously his biggest weapon. 3.5 to go. Kindle, who has a goal tonight, behind his own net. Lead pass to Tar. He has 1-2. Anderson scored as well and dumps it in, but this will be icing on Detroit. You know, the Red Wings moved to the Eastern Conference this season, and if for a team based in the Eastern time zone, it's going to save them a lot in their way of travel. I mean, you look at the numbers there, it's over 7,000 miles this year. When you go back to 2009-2010, that's an 11,000 mile savings in terms of travel. Not to mention, Kelly, not having to go out of your time zone so often as well.
That's the key. You know, your sleep patterns then have to change, and so this is they're going to find it that much better. And you know, their fan base is going to enjoy more of their games in their own time zone as well.
Yeah, that's another great point. When you're playing so many games like they were on the West Coast, that's a 10 o'clock start Detroit time. And,
right.
And it's difficult for people to stay up late and watch the games. Yakupov, cut off, gets the puck back, trying to work it out front. Puts it behind the net instead. Gagne throws it out front. That doesn't work. Penalty coming up to the wing. Shot from the point, and there's Mrazek able to hang on that long shot through traffic. Makes the save. 2:54 to go, and the Oilers going on the power play. Well, the Dragons' Den is back. A brand new Dragons' Den coming up as the Dragons take a trip through time. And Food Pitch stirs up competition. That's Wednesday, 8 o'clock on CBC TV.
Brendan Smith and Nail Yakupov were really going at it. That's one of the more fierce battles we've seen in this game, particular in the third period. So Yakupov trying to get the shot off back here, and Smith just went for him, and Yakupov took exception to it. They continued on for a few more seconds.
Smith in the box for the second time tonight. Oilers' third power play 0 for 2. They have 3 shots, but off the faceoff, there's Helm skating the puck out and flipping it in.
Time 17 minutes, 6 seconds. The Red Wings penalty, Smith roughing at 17.
Nugent Hopkins will carry over the line. He'll try and set it up now. Stops on the half boards, plays it down to the corner for Eberle. Back to Nugent Hopkins, but he can't get it. Here come the Wings shorthanded 2-on-1. Helm with Miller. Helm with Miller out front. There's the pass. Never got it through. Nice play there as that was blocked and fed ahead. Petrie got in the way of that chance. Helm regroups, able to get back and take it away at center ice as the Oilers can't even get it in on the power play, and now it's fired down the ice by Lashoff. Well, you don't need to be an expert in crowd reactions to decipher what's going on in Edmonton. Yakupov down the wing. Ryan Jones behind the net. Larson now. Gagne. Hemsky. Back to Gagne. To the forehand. Shot blocked by Anderson, but Gagne keeps it in. Larson. Yakupov behind the net. Larson on the right side. Gagne at the left point. Bouncer. Gets it ahead. Hemsky turns to the forehand. Back to the line to Larson. Hard pass out front for Gagne. He couldn't get the redirect on goal, and the puck comes outside the zone. It's been that kind of a night.
I don't know the last time I've seen Gagne miss a chance like that.
Puck play down the ice. 14 seconds left in this Edmonton power play, and we are approaching the final minute of play in this one. The Oilers will be happy to get on the road.
You and I think alike. That is the very thought that went through my mind.
Get away from the pressure cooker in Edmonton. No shots on that power play. Oilers 0 for 3 with a man advantage.
They have not handled this very well at all.
And now we got a fight. It's Acton and Smith going at it. .41 seconds left in the game.
Is that out of frustration, or is that a combination of frustration getting after Smith after he gets out of the box after going after Yakupov? So
see how it started here, Kelly? Yeah,
so
he went right to him.
Yeah, there's Smith at the blue line. Acton went right after him right there.
Five each for fighting, it looks like. 41 seconds left, and there's your presidents and your GM trying to figure out how to get the ship righted here in Edmonton. Getting healthy would definitely help, but been a tough start to the season for the Oilers.
I would bet if you took a poll of general managers around the National Hockey League, nobody would have said that Edmonton would have started 3-10-2.
There are many who thought last year might be the year they stepped forward and challenged for a playoff spot, but it has been a struggle early. And Red Wings, meantime, are going to go 3-0 to start this Western Canada road trip, and a chance to be perfect when they play in Winnipeg on Tuesday. Hamilton. Shot off the boards by Board Gordon, goes off traffic, played back out front. That deflects off a stick to the far side, and that'll do it. 5-0 Red Wings. Peter Mrazek gets his first ever NHL shutout. He stops 14 shots. He wasn't tested often, but when he had to be there, he was, Kelly.
What a great feeling for the youngster to get called up and then play under trying circumstances, flying all the way from Grand Rapids, and as Scott told you the story about forgetting his passport and the trip in doubt, and now a couple nights later getting his first ever National Hockey League shutout.
May have forgot his passport, but he'll remember this one. Great game for the Red Wings. Oilers got to regroup and get set to head on the road and start their trip in Florida.
And that's going to be a good thing for them because they clearly were showing lots of signs of frustration. When you don't fight it all in a game like this, that's telling you a lot about what's going on right now.
So, again, we don't want to talk about injuries being an excuse, but there is a reality to it as you go into the game with a bunch of key guys out, then you lose some more during the course of the hockey game, and getting healthy will be a big step in the right direction, obviously.
You just wish, though, some of those guys were getting an opportunity because of the injuries, would show a little bit more bite, and, we know they have talented players, but if you don't play with that bite and that grit, it's a tough league.
Yeah, it's interesting the way the game started. The Oilers get a power play early in the hockey game, don't capitalize, and then boom, boom. Darren Helm and Thomas Tatar scored 27 seconds apart, and really it was over right there, wasn't it?
I think Detroit Red Wings will probably think this is a pretty easy game for them.
All right, 5-0. Wings beat the Oilers in Edmonton. Now to Colorado. Here are Bob Cole and Gary Galley.